Hello guys, today we have a unique guest. He's been here in Japan for how long?
Too long.
Too long?
Nearly 20 years.
Oh, 20 years! Wow, yeah. Amazing. And he knows about Japanese culture, manga and everything. So let's get started. So why don't you just introduce yourself?
So
please?
My name is Brendan and I come from England. I moved to Japan almost 20 years ago, so I'm pretty much part of the furniture now. Much to my wife's chagrin, but hey. I work as a localizer, so I work translating Japanese into English, and I work doing that and films and stuff, so yeah.
So what brought you here? What made you decide to come here?
Wow. Well, when I was a kid, I was really into martial arts. I did judo.
Martial arts? Really? Yeah. Karate? Judo?
Judo.
Oh, judo.
I did judo, yeah. And I really enjoyed that. And then in the 80s, martial arts became really popular. Do you remember the movie, The Karate Kid?
Karate Kid?
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, that was really popular. So I thought, hey, I do judo, I like The Karate Kid, and then ninjas became really popular too. So I liked the Ninja Turtles, and all of these little things started connecting, and I realized that a lot of the things I like are from Japan. So I got really interested in Japan then, and then I came here on holiday for my 18th birthday, and I just fell in love with the place, and I stayed.
And fell in love with your
wife? Yeah, my wife as well, eventually when I got to meet her, yeah. But yeah, so this is it. So I fell in love with the food, the people, the country, the ladies, the ladyboys, all of them. So yeah, great.
So it was the same as you expected, when you were in Britain. And after you came here, what's the big differences?
Well, when I first came here, I was surprised that people didn't have chonmage. I thought everyone had that.
And not wearing kimono?
Right, yeah. I thought everybody was like a martial arts master as well. Everything that I thought about Japan was basically the exact opposite before when I came.
Really?
Yeah.
So you think in Britain, the media or something just the emphasizing on the unique things about the Japanese culture?
Well, my exposure to Japan was basically through just Hollywood films that were obviously overdone. So, like, the Karate Kid was set in the US, but the Karate Kid Part 2 was set in Okinawa, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there was like a few, but all we see is just a temple, really, like a big temple, so everything's very traditional. So there's that, and then I watched some anime, but it was like Akira or something like this, which is like Neo Tokyo. So it's either very neon or it's very traditional. There was no middle, so I didn't really know what to expect when I came. So it was very. So
I wonder when you just became interested in manga and Japanese culture.
Well, I was introduced. Well, my first encounter with Japanese cartoons that I was aware of was when I was in high school, and the movie Akira came out.
Akira, yes.
Yeah, and that came out, and I thought, man, this is really amazing. It kind of blew my mind. I didn't realize that cartoons could be so graphic. And I got into, that was basically my first experience with it. And then I went to my local video rental store, and I found a bunch of other animated movies, and one of the movies actually was you might have heard of it. It's called Urosuki Doji. Do you know that one?
Yeah, my work.
Yeah.
So how about Miyazaki Hayao's lovely work?
I didn't, because I grew up in the UK, so we didn't actually have those films.
Really?
No, we didn't have them for a long time. It was only until
interesting.
It was only until manga and anime and like Dragon Ball and things like this became popular. That's when we started getting more and more in, but until then we didn't really have like Totoro or these movies.
Really?
They weren't available to us. Maybe in the US they were, but in the UK they weren't available. So
how about the Tentacle printed manga books or comic books in UK?
So yeah, so that's a good question, because actually we didn't have printed manga books like they are here either. So we would have like comic books, like just a regular comic book, like maybe 32 pages or something. And there was a few of those, like Dragon Ball came out, and a couple of others, like main titles like that, came out in just like flipped like comics. But as volume releases, that didn't come until quite a bit later. Actually, not until I moved to here. It was only when I moved here they started getting released in volume format in the UK.
So did they feel ace when they just encountered, bumped into Japanese manga when they were young? And plus, were there any 18 plus type of manga like mine?
No, not really. No, there are some adult comics that have that you could get, but not from Japan. They weren't really around. I know that Urotsuki Doji did get a release in the US, and there was a comic store near my house that actually had it, but it was all the artwork was flipped. It was all back to front, and it wasn't censored. So like the graphic parts that I think somebody else drew the graphic parts in. So
the detailed,
the
genitals or anything.
Right, the ding dongs. Yeah, someone was drawing the ding dongs, but I don't think it was you. It was someone else did it, but it was post edited. Which was kind of odd. It was kind of odd. There was lots of, I don't know. It wasn't very good printing quality either. But,
I see.
Yeah, but so we did have some 18 adult only comics, but again in the UK we didn't have many at all. When I was still there we didn't really have many. Everything was imported from the US.
So they thought manga was completely designed for kid.
I think so, yeah. Like the character designs in manga are very big eyes and cute. Right?
It's Japanese moeke anime, anime style.
Right. I think when you saw manga, you knew immediately that it was not from the US. It was like, that's clearly from Japan. It's very, very easy, very quick to tell, that it's from here.
As you know that the American comics are completely different from Japanese, the moeke, anime type. So how do they feel about such differences? Well, which they prefer, or they just read it in depend on their mood or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the biggest difference really, again, when I was there, it was American comics obviously are full color.
Yes.
Right, so they're full color, whereas manga is usually, almost exclusively just black and white, isn't it? So the lack of color is like the first thing that weird. I think it's, and if you're not used to that, it's a bit, there's no color in this, okay, but obviously you adjust very quickly to that. So that's like one of the first things that you notice with it. I think also one of the big differences I think with manga and comic books in general is that manga generally tends to be very character driven. The stories are based around the character, whereas American comic books would have strong characters, but it'd be very situational as well. So I think the focus on a protagonist and a clear character, I think is a hallmark of Japanese manga, and I think that's maybe why it's popular.
As you told me that in American style, it's clear that the good guy beat the shit out of a bad guy, and in the end, the bad guy face the music, or something. But in Japan, we have a different type of the manga. Like I always tell this, the fish manga, or mother and daughters-in-law fighting. They hate each other's guts. See? Or sometimes, how you can get the seat in the commuting train in the morning. And there's a tactics to get the seat there. Because, the office workers always, feel, fried, exhausted. But when they get, seat, wow, I get this. I made this one or something, but it's small stuff. But it could be a theme of manga.
That's right, yeah.
But it's unbelievable if they, publish it in America or Britain. There's no such manga, right?
Not really. No, you're right. Everything's very. It's like there's a very clear storyline. It's always like A to B, this kind of thing. Japan has those situational things. I think there's one recently where the whole premise of the show was a girl, she forgets her glasses, and she goes to school every day without her glasses on. And that's the premise of the entire show. Every episode was the same thing happened. So but I don't think that it would be published even, you know, in the US. But over here, there's comedy found in these moments, and I think that sensibility with the Japanese and Western style comics is very, very clear. That it's very, very different, you know. So, yeah, getting a seat on the train now, I can understand that, because it's hard to get a seat on the train in Japan sometimes, isn't it? So, yeah, I'm not surprised there's a manga about that.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
No, thank you for inviting me, man.
And the next version of part 2.
Sure.
I'm gonna ask you about the Japanese girl.
Okay.
Your impression.
Okay.
Because it's, you know, the Western people are curious when they have a chance to, you know, have a date with a Japanese girl or you know, or Asian girl, and you can tell the big difference between Asian girl and Japanese girl.